All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. Sorry for our couple-minute delay, but we got everybody here that we need right now. So this will be a very informal event. The intent was to provide you with background information on the specifics of the stadium. And actually, as I found out too, we have Jordan here to talk a little bit about the Prince Charles Hotel. So we're talking about the entire project. So we'll start with Christoph Bauer, the Deputy City Manager, who has had a key hand in the development of this project. We've also got representatives from Barton Malow, so please come on up here, and Mr. David Lane, the General Manager for the Houston Astros. You can see the continuous loop going on in front of us and on the big screens around us. As most of you already know, this is on our website. So if you go to FayettevilleNC.gov/baseball, this video plays on the top. It's been up there for the last several weeks. The photos on my left over here are 3 of 11 that are also on that website. They're downloadable in high res, so you can take those if you'd like. Photos on the right over here are not there yet, but they will be. We're still waiting on digits for that. And we've got to our left and right up here materials for the building itself, and I'm sure you'll be able to ask questions about what's being used, why, and where. So again, very informal event here. We'll let Christoph start, and the other folks here, Barton Malow and Jordan Jones from Prince Charles and David Lane, will be speaking as well, and we'll take your questions once everybody's done with any kind of initial statements that they have. So with that, Christoph.
Good morning, everybody. In case you haven't heard, the city of Fayetteville is working with the Astros and Prince Charles Holding to actually build a stadium across the street. This morning we're going to do a groundbreaking at 11 o'clock. That's really the major event for the day. But we wanted to make sure you guys had all the background information that you wanted in order to put together your stories and add context. So with us we have Jordan Jones from Prince Charles Holding, David Lane from the Astros, Rosalind Henderson from Barton Malow. Barton Malow is our construction manager for this project. And these, of course, are our development partners. So we have here a stadium that's going to be 4,786 seats with additional capacity, probably if people are standing around in some of the concourse areas. A lot of key features. What's that? Do you have a question? 4,786 seats. And that's actually capacity, not just seats. It's actually capacity, so some of that's up in the clubhouse and in the party deck and other areas of the facility. But we're really here to answer any questions you may have. This is a $33 million public investment in the stadium itself, with additional $60 to $65 million of private investment around it, including the renovation of the Prince Charles Hotel, which I'll let Jordan talk a little bit about here shortly. And then, of course, a parking garage, hotel, and residential structure, which will go up in that sort of blank square area you see it in the bottom left of that photo right there. That's where that large facility will be coming out of there. And we hope to be able to show you a schematic of that, draft schematic of that next week, if not later this week. So we'll be releasing that information as that design moves forward. All these projects will move forward in the next 2 years. We're breaking ground now. We'll start demolition in the next month. And then you'll see real activity happen in the spring. By next summer, we actually expect to have the need for about 300 parking spaces just for construction personnel. So this is going to be a big impact on the downtown, not only in the long term as far as economic development, but also in the short term as far as using capacity. It's like anything else. Change is messy, and this is going to be messy for a couple years until we get to the spring of 2019 when all this comes together and we start playing baseball in downtown Fayetteville. So with that, I'll stop talking and just wanted to, unless anybody else wants to add something before we start answering questions. I see lots of no's there. So please, if you have any questions, let us know. Well, in the interim, what we're actually doing is we'll probably be doing some temporary parking along with the medical arts facility, just right over here on the corner of, was it Winslow and Hay Street? Yes. Doing some temporary parking there, and then we'll also be looking at the old transit facility as we move to the new multimodal. The old transfer facility down on Russell Street, we'll be using that for a lot of parking, and then we'll be busing people to the facility. Go ahead.
Can we get a status update on the Prince Charles portion of the project, where we are, kind of timeline?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Jordan Jones, and I'm with Prince Charles Holdings, LLC. We've committed to a public-private partnership with the city, very excited about it, to do about $65 million of private investment here in Fayetteville. The first project we will be kicking off next month in September. That will be the historic renovation of the Prince Charles Hotel. That's roughly about a $16 million project. All financing is secured and lined up for that. We will be releasing a more specific date when we will start our demolition, probably in the next week or two. And again, the program there is about 13,000 square feet of retail on the first floor and 62 high-end for-rent apartments above. We'll be looking to target young professionals that already work here in downtown, and also we've been reaching out to the hospital and talking about the new medical residents they have moving here in the community, roughly 300 of them. And so again, they'll be moving here from more urban communities, and they're looking for an urban place to live. This will be kind of Fayetteville's first true downtown apartment building with full amenity package. We're really excited to deliver that. Then we are still working on the other details. We'll also be partnering with the city to build a parking garage right there along Hay Street. Above that, we are looking at doing a 123-room high-end hotel. It'll be Fayetteville's highest-end hotel in the market, so we're really excited to deliver that. All that will be breaking ground no later than Q1 of 2018, and will absolutely be open by April of 2019, along with a baseball stadium. Prince Charles Hotel, we should be completed by that probably September, October of 2018. And so we're roughly about 12 months away from being able to open up that project. Yeah, for the Prince Charles Hotel, the apartments will be somewhere between $800 to $1,200 per month. We have 3 different loan options right now, and so we are still working on which is the best term for us to proceed with. Correct. So as you all who have been in the building know, there's this amazing ballroom on the 8th floor. We'll be converting that into a 3,200 square foot penthouse apartment. It'll be a 3-bedroom apartment. And also they'll have that 10-foot wide terrace right along Hay Street that overlooks. It'll just be a fantastic unit. We are still talking to some potential residents about signing a lease for that space. And Jeff, your name's at the top of the list. And then so again, we'll be doing the parking garage, new construction hotel. We'll also be delivering an additional 150 or so apartments. And then our 4th commitment to the city is to purchase the Festival Park Plaza office building. That's a 45,000 square foot office building right there at the Ray Avenue traffic circle. We'll more than likely be closing on that transaction before the end of the year. That's currently owned by the city, and so this really helps the city with the baseball stadium because they have outstanding debt on the building, and the building right now is also not generating property tax revenues. And so again, this is our commitment to help finance the baseball stadium that we're excited to see break ground later today.
And so the city currently owns that and has about $4.8 million in debt on that building. Well, we know what the price is. What it's worth is a completely debatable. We have an agreed price. What is our agreed contract price? You remember?
Agreed price is $4.2 million.
Quick question. Prince Charles, in terms of renovation, is it challenge you, or is it about what you thought it would be, or are you seeing some additional challenges in terms of getting it ready? And the second question is, are you hamstrung at all by being an historic property?
I'll answer your second question first. We're not hamstringed at all buying a historic building. We love that it's a historic building. Our background, our portfolio is doing about $350 million of work in downtown Durham, most of those being historic buildings. We love the aspects it brings as a historic building, the cultural aspects, the history that it brings. As some of you all might know, my great-great-grandfather built it almost 100 years ago. And so there's a lot of history there we want to preserve. A lot of people have fantastic stories and memories and experiences of being in it. And so we look forward to bringing it back. Great-great-grandfather, correct. Yes, James Addison Jones, I have his middle name. The only new challenge we've run into is that we anticipated we'd be able to replace all of the historic frame windows in the building. We were being required to keep all those windows. My count was 462 historic wood windows, and we'll be spending somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 per window to fix them up. And so we were hoping to put in new windows. That's one challenge we're facing, is we actually have to restore all those windows. That's just a great new feature of the building, to be able to have those historic wood windows in there and the single pane glass. So we're excited for all of it. Yeah, the majority of it is secured, and we have most of the investors lined up. Yeah, it's a detail I'm just not going to go into today. Yeah. Yep, so the Prince Charles Hotel is roughly 16 million. The parking garage with a hotel and new residential above it, that's about 50 million. And then purchasing Festival Park Plaza is about 4.2 million. We're always looking for additional investment opportunities in the area. Correct.
The retail tenants signed on yet?
It's too early for that. Typically we sign those retail tenants typically about 6 months before we open. A lot of those retail tenants want to see the product actually start to happen. As you all know, we've been working on the Prince Charles Hotel for almost 3 years now. So it's taken us a long time to get here, but we're glad we waited. We're able to form a fantastic public-private partnership with the city of Fayetteville and see that today we're not talking about just renovating the Prince Charles Hotel. We're also talking about a 10-acre development with $100 million of total investment. So it's an incredible opportunity we've been working on with our great partners in the city over the last 3 years.
At one time, there was a discussion about including a pedestrian bridge that actually went from the stadium itself across the railroad tracks to potentially provide access to the parking behind ASOM, Airborne Special Operations Museum. That has not been included in the designs for a couple of reasons. One is just from an operational perspective, it would provide another entrance into the stadium that would have to be monitored and ticketed, et cetera. So from an operational perspective, it would add an additional burden to the operations of the stadium. And two, the costs of the facility were significant. And then three, from a timing perspective, we were just concerned about getting the rights from the railroad to actually go over the railroad. The railroad had some pretty strong requirements as far as how high that would have had to have been in order to meet their standards. So it got pretty dramatic. And the other thing is that the difference between having that and just having people walk around the corner was not overly dramatic. So we got to the point where we are looking at changing. I guess that street is changes from Winslow to another name as you cross that intersection. But we're looking at that cross section of that street and changing that to make it more pedestrian friendly for people to walk down. There currently isn't a sidewalk on the rail side. So we're looking at funding for that. And that's another part of this project. As we move forward the next 2 years, of course, we'll be focused on the stadium and this other development, but we'll also be looking at projects that we can do around it to help. We get lots of questions about parking. So as part of this parking deck, we've got over 400 spaces we'll create in the parking deck. Almost none of that for the stadium. The parking for the stadium will come from existing facilities within a half mile. As part of the feasibility analysis, we found plenty of parking in the area. The last thing we want is people coming to a game to park right in front of the stadium, go to a game, turn around, and leave. We want them to walk through downtown to get there, and then through downtown to get back. So people will be parking in adjacent facilities in the area and then walking to the stadium. They'll be walking by our businesses. They'll be walking by some of our other facilities in the downtown, hopefully continuing to add to the atmosphere and the viability of our downtown business operations.
I think great opportunities for entrepreneurs. There could be pedicab businesses that could start, bicycles with a little 2-3 seater behind it. So I think that these are great challenges for us to have as we have people coming down here. If they don't want to walk 2 blocks, there'll be new opportunities for new businesses and new job creation here in Fayetteville.
I think the other thing is that we're not doing anything new here. These stadiums that operate all across the country, and the model we're moving forward is consistent with what you've seen other places. So we will have a 360 concourse. You'll be able to walk all the way around this facility. It'll be open during the day so that people can come down and have their lunch or walk around the facility. It'll have multiple seating options. All of these things are features that were done in Columbia and other stadiums that have been very successful. So certainly take a look at what's been successful in those other facilities. We're including them as designs elements here. But this is a unique stadium designed for this unique location, and it is a very unique location. It's constrained. We've taken that constraint and we've used it to create unique opportunities. And that lovely little bar out along the first base line. And one of the sort of unique pieces sort of is you start problem solving here. And we did. We had to get creative here to make sure we got the best facility for the budget that's been allocated. This is a $33 million stadium, not a $47 million stadium like the one in Columbia. So For example, this little corner right here, you see the little tables on the top here. That's actually the maintenance facility. So it's like you have a maintenance facility. Where are you going to put that? You know, and how do you not just lose space? So we ended up with that facility being half in and half out of the ground, which is a compromise. If it's all the way underground, it's more expensive. If it's all the way out of the ground, it's cheaper. You put it halfway. So now you have this deck opportunity on top of that, which becomes programmable space. It's a unique space that you're not going to see in other stadiums. It's right there, and it's an asset that's unique to Fayetteville because we were problem solving to find a way that's economical, fits the space, and takes advantage of what we have for its best. Also there you have that nice ramp going down right to deck. So then we can have different kinds of events in the facility. Two major constraints, which have, well, three actually, that have created opportunities for us to be creative. One, of course, is the site constraints with the railroads on both sides. The other is the water table. As you get toward the back of this facility, you are in the floodplain and in the floodway. So we've had to adjust the level of the field in a way to keep things up out of that area, but you don't want to build it up too much because then it starts to get expensive with structure. So how do you make that balance? And then, of course, is the budget. We have a target to hit. You know, if we wanted to spend as much as we could spend, we could have done it on the site. But we wanted to make sure that we had to make some of those compromises to get what we wanted for the price and the resources we had available. So those three things really drove the design, and I think that I'm pretty proud of what we were able to come up with.
Earlier on, there had been concerns about the feasibility for having emergency vehicles come in. Can you talk about how you resolved that, or whether that's resolved?
It is, of course, resolved, and we've got, you know, the big part, of course, is to make sure that they can access all the facilities, and that ramp's a big part of it. They can get straight onto the field and access everything from field level. 15-foot driveway along the side.
Yep, along the first side.
Another thing that's sort of a little misleading by this is all these trees along here. We will have a back drive as well that'll go along the back of the facility. It'll get around.
What was the question?
Any estimate on that growth on the back of the
Yeah, we haven't put too much thought into that. For the Prince Charles Hotel, I would probably state anywhere from 50 to 75, primarily from the retail space. The high-end hotel will probably be at least another 20 to 30. So we'll say maybe the private development creates somewhere between 75 to 100 long-term permanent jobs. Of course, there'll be a lot of short-term construction jobs as well. Christoph already referred to the 300 construction workers that'll be created during the construction period. I think that'll actually could potentially increase over that number as we get our team fully ramped up and all of our development fully going. That could be closer probably to 400 at one point in time. So maybe 400 construction workers and 100 long-term permanent jobs in downtown. And that's just direct jobs. That's not any of the other jobs that'll be created. And, you know, the big thing about what we're doing is this can be a huge shot in the arm. This will create confidence in other investors want to invest in Hay Street. There are a lot of vacant buildings that once they see all this take place, they see new people coming down here, they see how successful we are, they too will want to start investing in their properties. And so the catalytic impact of this will be significantly larger than what we're doing on this 10 acres.
Christoph, apparently the state DOT has taken flooding issues into account with the construction of the new bridge and the realignment of those roads with new, what do you call those pipes?
Culverts?
Yeah, with bigger, better culverts. Will that relieve the flooding potential for the stadium
No.
property at all?
No, the constraint for this facility is actually the culvert under the railroad right to the back of the site, which hasn't changed. So that's really the dam that creates an issue for us. We've taken that into consideration. So, you know, we've taken a look at the whole level of the field. We've brought it up above, you know, the mean flood, you know, and the reality is that we've taken everything that could be damaged from a significant hurricane event and gotten it at a level where we're comfortable that it should be able to sustain anything like that and be able to recover effectively.
How much higher is it from how much higher will the stadium be from the area around it?
Oh, it'll be to us, it'll look like it's at grade. I mean, the problem is right now the site drops, so we'll be taking it and basically straightening it out. So we're working very hard. Again, part of the way to reduce the cost is to balance the soils on site. If you're taking a bunch of soil out or bringing a bunch of soil in, that has a significant cost impact. So we're working very hard to sort of balance the soils on site and create a facility that anytime we go down, we just take that and spread it out over a longer period. So the nice thing about it, actually I didn't realize this, is that as you look to the back of the facility, you see we've got a little play space out there in the back of, that's left field, right?
Yes.
Not a baseball player. Okay, so back there, you'll actually be able to walk, the play space will be right level with the concourse, so you'll be able to walk straight out on that. Once you get past the play space, however, it'll drop. It'll drop much more dramatically than it does now. So it'll kind of be leveling it out, and then it'll drop. Is that right?
Correct.
It'll have a fence.
Yeah.
It will have a fence, so no one will fall off or anything like that.
Jobs question from the perspective of baseball. How many jobs are we talking about?
So,
How many will be, for instance, temporary, seasonal, so
Mhm.
to speak, and then how many?
so for the Astros, our plan is to have about 15 full-time employees on staff, which is typical for a single-A ball club. You could sometimes see bigger, but the capacity of the stadium will drive that. But we think our number is about 15. Seasonal, during the 70 home games, there'll be about 75 people on staff for the Astros. You could fluctuate more if we have capacity on Fridays and Saturdays, then we'll add. And then concessions will have about 50 to 75 jobs as well. So you're looking at about 150 jobs that this is going to create for 70 nights during our season. And then year round, we'll have other events inside the stadium, concerts and monster truck rallies, anything like that. So we'll generate more jobs throughout the year. Yes, so the Astros, we're owned and operated here in Fayetteville. We'll take over the lease when they give us the keys in April. Before that. And then, yes, sir. Yes, that'll be my staff and myself working hard to get all those events here.
Will that impact negatively anybody at Festival Park?
No, we'll work with Festival Park.
Become the primary location?
We plan on working with everyone. We don't want to kick anyone out. We want to work with everybody and, have hockey games here. I mean, why not have a hockey game over here at the baseball stadium? So, the ideas are limitless inside this stadium, and you'll see all kinds of fun things going on inside the ballpark, bringing more people here.
Let me add to that just one thing. One of the things that we've actually had a limit in Festival Park right now is that we have a very difficult time with controlled access events because we don't have security or a closed campus for that facility. It's just too open. So this really adds a capacity to the downtown for us to have closed access events in the downtown. So it really supplements, I think, Festival Park in a significant way.
In terms of, you mentioned seasonal workers, 70 games, so how many months are we talking about?
April to September.
And the other question is, what are y'all seeing with the Bowie's Creek Astros? Is the attendance and what you're seeing there, is that a good indicator of how we're going to do here in Fayetteville?
That stadium only seats 1,000 people, so averaging 600 a night is very good at a 1,000-seat stadium. So we're very pleased with the turnout over there, and it'll get better next year as people get more excited about their team coming to Fayetteville. That is the team that's coming to Fayetteville. So, yeah.
What about the 8th lane section beyond Ray Athens already closed officially?
That's correct.
What about the Fountain America? I told it's coming down.
No, it's not. That was a rumor. We will be taking out some of the, I call them pork chops, the little triangular pieces. I'm sure there's a better term for them, but that's what I call them. But the little triangular pieces that actually divert traffic, to go around the symbol. We're taking out a couple of those just simply so we have a large vehicular access to the site, so that big, semis can get through the intersection. But those will go right back up as soon as the construction is done. Fountain remains. I have the same question, but that water will be coming back. Astros will operate and maintain the facility, so.
That'll be part of the seasonal 75 people that we'll hire.
How closely will you work with the city in terms of, does the city have any input?
Part of the lease creates a baseball committee the current baseball committee will go away, and in the lease, there are terms that a new baseball committee will be formed with city officials, the Astros, I think some community leaders, some sponsors maybe, and those people will help. We'll throw ideas, bounce some ideas off of them. You know, the limits are set in the lease, and we'll go by those limits. But I think we meet quarterly the first year, and then it changes after that. But yeah, we'll bounce ideas off of that committee, and the city will help us out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If
And
not, I'll be going back to them.
the city has reserved, I think we have 8 days, something like that. We have a specific number of days that we can use. It's 8 or 12. It might be 12. It's 12. So we have 12 days that if we have 12 events we want to have over there, we have that ability to schedule those first. So certainly those 12 days, that might be something that we use for the dogwood or whatever sort of signature events we want to move forward with and work with them on. But the other key feature of that facility is that we actually have set up a way to fund ongoing capital needs. So we have actually identified ongoing revenues that will be dedicated to capital. And then that steering committee that's created by the lease will be their responsibility to make recommendations on how to spend that money over time. So 5 years from now, if we need a roof or something's going wrong with the facility, we'll have funding in place that can be reinvested in the facility to make sure it stays operational effective for the next 30 years. One more?
Probably the last question. The nicknames, team name, mascot. There's been, I don't tell you that some folks in the community have been not thrilled about our selection. Can we say definitively that the process is closed in terms, it'll be one of those 5 names?
We are excited about the top 5 names, and I've been telling folks to trust our process. Once you see our brand, you'll love it. You'll fall in love with it. And if not, we'll have a hat with an F on it and for Fayetteville, and people will buy that. Yes.
When is the decision going to be made?
We hope to have it in December or January.
What's the, some of this may go into too much internal stuff, but what's the process in-house? Is it, y'all have a committee in the house to decide the name, or how does that?
We have the Houston Astros and all their staff, so their marketing department, the president, the owner has to sign off on our name, Jim Crane. And so everybody's been asked, shown, different versions of what these logos look like, these brands look like, and we've gotten a lot of input. So these top 5 names came from Fayetteville, from the submissions that we received, the over 1,500 submissions. So. Right, quirky and fun and unique. Right. 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 It's one of the top 5. So. There is. I mean, you look at New Orleans, they're the baby cakes. I mean, it's a little baby that pops out of the king cake. So how fun is that for New Orleans? Binghamton is the rumble ponies. They're the carousel capital of the world. So it's a carousel horse. So it's going to be unique to Fayetteville. I promise people are going to fall in love with it. Once you see our brand, the way it looks, you'll love it. I promise.
And he specifically mentioned the baby cakes. And he said when that name was adopted, it actually turned out to be a big marketing success.
Yes.
And there was a lot of people getting like
Don't quote me on this, but they were doing $30,000 worth of merchandise a week when they first announced their name. And if you look on Twitter and social media, nobody liked it, but they're selling $30,000 worth of merchandise. So they're doing okay. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, as you can see, if you want to come up and take a look and get a closer look at some of the materials, we're looking at the stadium. Come up and ask us, and we'll stick around for a little while longer. Thank you for your attention.